Welcome back to the Football Terrace, confirmed now by David Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, Ben Jacobs and more. Benjamin Sesko agrees to join Manchester United Football Club with talks with Leipzig at a very advanced stage, and a full and total agreement is expected imminently. The player will become a Manchester United striker. The here we go is very, very close indeed. Make sure like buttons are hit. Make sure you are subscribing and you have that bell notification button turned on. This is a done deal show. Let's do this.
Manchester United, on the other hand, the fact that we have the potential to lose this fight has got me seething. They are an absolute joke of a club where players go to die, effectively. You've got Sancho with mental health issues, depression, Anthony with the same issues. These are £80 million players that go there to not be progressed as players, and they are trapped because of the high salaries and fees. They can't get out when they realise they've made a mistake. They are £1 billion in debt, but because of their high revenue due to the way the rules are written, they can spend upwards of £200 million across 3 attackers this window, which is an absolute disgrace. They do not improve players. It is not a happy club. It is not a competitive club at the moment.
It's all paper nonsense. You haven't got a clue.
They finished on barely above 40 points last season, have no European competition, play an ambiguous formation at best.
You haven't got a clue. We haven't got to sell this summer, and Talk Sport has been spouting that nonsense for months.
Bruno Fernandes, their best player, is a rat bag and tried to hack people from behind the other day.
If you listen to what I'm saying, we don't have to sell. The papers have been talking nonsense for months.
I read it in the papers that you have to sell.
Oh, so you believe your mates in the media than people who I understand it. I'm a Newcastle supporter.
No smoke without fire, Pete. No smoke.
It is a disgusting club, rotting, and it needs to be gutted.
Has anyone seen Manchester United? Alex Ferguson, welcome to Manchester fame. Phil Jones, has anyone seen Anthony? Roy Keane, the Glazers, my old general manager Chris. Boom, Sesko to Newcastle. How are we the lads?
Yeah, it hasn't happened yet though. I don't want to, rain on your chips, Ryan, but it hasn't quite happened yet, matey.
It's coming. It's coming.
So?
There is no reason for people to be joining Manchester United over us.
Come back and say you love me. And break my heart, Switzerland. Without you, I just can't go. Oh, can go
Welcome back to the That was cinema, bruv. That was cinema. That was cinema for us all this morning. I had to. The hat trick, baby. And listen, I've got a lot of respect for Newcastle as a club and institution, what they went through with Mike Ashley. They're on their way up. But when I heard their fans celebrating after their bid went in, I just kept my powder so dry because I knew what was coming. And viewers, Benjamin Sesko has agreed to join Manchester United, confirmed by Ben Jacobs, confirmed now by Ornstein, Fabrizio, all but confirming this. In fact, Fabrizio actually did tweet about an hour ago saying Benjamin Sesko has reached a total agreement with Manchester United, contract until 2030. Sesko wants to join United. Clear feeling yesterday here, never gave similar indication to others. club to club talks with Leipzig continue. So it looks like United are going to get their man, going to get their striker. Obviously, I'm joined this morning, people, by Cal from Coppish. Make sure you go and subscribe to Coppish, the best, one of the best, actually, no, the best Liverpool channel out there. So I'm gonna say one of the best. I'm like, no, it's the best. So go and check. I'll try to be nice to others, and then I thought, fuck that. Go check out Coppish, people. But yeah, look, a big coup for Man United.
Massive. Firstly, that video, that's a legendary intro. I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you.
But that intro could have been done about 4 or 5 times this summer for Newcastle. Like it's kind of getting on the brink of being quite scary what's going on at St James's Park at the moment regarding negotiations and lack of bringing players in. In terms of Man United, though, I'm going to be honest with you. There's an argument to say you now have one of the better attacks in the league with Mbeumo, Cunha, and Sesko. That's a very good attack. And I look at what Cunha and Mbeumo did in the Premier League last season at teams not as good as teams not as established as Man United. They were better than Man United last season, but that's just a one-off. That could be a really potent front three for you. Now, granted, defensively, you're still a little bit shaky. Midfield-wise, you still need a midfielder. And from a Liverpool standpoint, I hope you keep Onana in goal for as long as humanly possible. But for an attack, it's a very good attack. And the reason why you could be more dangerous than a lot of teams maybe think so far is because you'll be playing one game a week. I remember Liverpool in 13-14 had Suarez, Sterling, and Sturridge. And our defense and our midfield was a bit leaky, and our goalkeeper was a bit leaky with Mignolet, and we still managed a title challenge. Now, I don't think you'll go as far as that, because I think Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal are too strong. You'll definitely be a more difficult team to deal with now, though, especially on the counter.
Do you know what? Let's on the deal, and we'll go into more details about it in the show, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to touch the Newcastle side. We're going to look at what else United need. We are going to take calls later in the show as well, so bear with us and stay with us on the air. From my point of view, if we just look at this from a deal, it's a fantastic piece of business by Man United. I've rated the guy for a long time. We were saying backstage, I actually agree with you a lot, Cal, that I think he's probably been one of the most disrespected players this summer in terms of him being played down, because people just go 13 goals, doesn't score enough.
Yeah.
Well, okay, 17 goals across all competitions, and I'm not someone that just looks at league goals. I look at across the board.
Yeah.
You're not factoring in that he was played out of position a lot last year because of problems at Leipzig.
Yeah.
You're forgetting the fact that he has a 26. Again, we're getting to the facts here. One in every 4 shots he takes goes in, and that's been the same for the last 2 seasons. In his entire career, he got a 22% conversion rate, which is just over 1 in 5 shots is going in. We compare that to what we've got. We've been averaging around, all of our strikers in the last 3 years have been averaging a 13% conversion rate, which means we need basically 10 shots to score 1 goal. We now have a striker who is in around 1 goal in 4 shots. And he adds goals from outside the box. He can score a thunderbolt. He can score screamers. He can create. He does that thing which modern day football fans cry for, Cal, and that's, can he create his own chances?
Yeah.
Not in the same way an R9 would. Not in the same way a Lionel Messi would, although he's got some good technique and skill. But he can drop a shoulder on the edge of the box and send it into the top corner. You then couple that in with what you've said, Cunha and Mbeumo. We both know how good they are. Front three on paper now. On paper is up there with every other front three in the Premier League. We just now need to realize that and make it come alive. I say up there. There's some that will be better than us, but I think there's a debate to be had here. There'll be by the end of this season, people are going to look. There's a potential for people to look at this front three and go, United are set for the next 4 or 5 years. And I know that people know this. Go on. Jump in.
A little bit of controversy.
Go on.
I don't want to deviate too far from your topics and stuff like that. If I was to say on paper, Man United's front three, where do you rank it in the Premier League? On paper, because the ball hasn't been kicked yet.
On paper, right now, Liverpool's is top for me. Maybe that's also because I've got Isak in my mind because I know he's going Liverpool, right? So that's there. Yeah. I think Liverpool are number 1.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal are number 2. I think Vic Gyökeres is a machine. They've got Bukayo Saka. in their side. This is going to sound controversial, but I'm going to say it. Then it's Man United.
See, Haaland, bro.
Then it's Chelsea. Then it's Haaland. And I tell you as to why I'm saying this, right? Haaland, if we're talking number 9s, Haaland's at the top. In terms of scoring goals and creating, Savio, Doku, these guys don't have the output. They don't have the output. So, again, we're talking on paper here. I'm not speaking about the whole team. And this is what people will do. They go, what about the whole system in the midfield and the fullbacks? Well, yeah, if we're doing that, we're bottom of the top 6, right? I know that, right? We're there, or at least on par with Spurs. If we're just looking at the front three in isolation on paper, you look at the goals and the outputs from all of our players combined.
Mamouche, bro. Mamouche.
Yeah, but I'm looking at that. They've got 2. I would put... I'm not that impressed. Listen, City are still a good team that are going to challenge. City's midfield, now that Rodri's back, is one of the main reasons they're going to be in the title race. They've got a very good front three, but you asked me to do it on paper. Now, in reality...
No, yeah, of course, yeah.
In reality, United are still down there, right at the bottom, because we haven't seen it in actuality. We haven't seen it play. But if we're looking at what these players have done individually, we look at their potential, we look at their ceiling, we look at how they're going to operate as a 3. You look at if next season... Man United's front 3 score the same amount of league goals as they did last year, will challenge for top European places. If you've got Mbeumo getting 20, Cunha and Sesko getting 13, 14, 15 league goals each, as a collective front 3, that's going to be hard to beat if we're looking at everybody else. So it's there. So yeah, that's why I answered it on paper. It's got the potential to be that good. And I love this, and deluded Terry is back, but it's not about being deluded. Mamouche is very good. But on paper, Mbeumo outscores him. Cunha outscores him. This is what we've got to look at here. We said on paper. In actuality, I'd put us 5th or 6th because we haven't seen them kick a ball together yet. But on the potential, again, Gyökeres and Wirtz, people will put Liverpool top if you get the guys you're signing. But we haven't seen them play together yet. We don't actually know. It's all on paper. So yeah, I'd put us around 3rd or 4th. I actually think Chelsea's is very good as well and is really underrated as a collective. It's just the team and the system of Cities is better than Chelsea and Manchester United's.
I don't know if I agree. I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying in the comments, but I don't know if I agree if it's that high up. Purely because if you're going on the basis of Arsenal being good because they got Gyökeres and Saka, there's an argument to say that Haaland and Mamouche will outscore Gyökeres and Saka this season. So I think City's still got to be higher.
That's
I
fair.
think Arsenal's up there. Left wing's still a bit of a problem for Arsenal, but Martinelli does get a few goals in the season.
You know what? If we're going to do benches as well, because Mamouche is the bench player. When I was thinking about their front 3,
I don't think he will be this season.
Do you think he'll play? So again, if we reframe that, so if we're talking a front 3 of Doku, Savio, Haaland, I'm keeping them in around that 4th to 5th place. If we're dropping out Savio and putting in Mamouche, Haaland, and Doku, then then it goes up to 3rd. If that's
even
in
Foden.
But I consider Foden as part of the front. Again, are we putting 10s into this? If we're putting 10s into it as well, then I'm adding Bruno Fernandes, and on paper we go even higher.
Okay, on paper, yeah. I don't think Foden plays in a 10 though. I think Shirky plays in a 10. I think Foden might play from the right. I think him and Savio alternate between playing from the right. And look, I know a lot of people are downplaying what Foden is. Foden had a really bad season last season. The season before, though, Foden was player of the season. So we don't know what Foden we're going to get this season coming. But even last season, I think Foden didn't get like 7 goals in a really bad season for him. So Foden does chip with goals. So I still got City higher. I've got Liverpool higher. But here's the thing. Again, I'm speaking as a Liverpool fan here. Ekitike is unproven. I do think we get Isak through the door, but Ekitike is unproven. Gakpo does get goals. Salah gets goals. So I think Liverpool's up there as well. Arsenal's up there.
But I suppose
Newcastle's a tricky one because we don't.
Yeah, but that's always the thing though when we say on paper, because on paper the way I view, and I think this is why these long format conversations are important. On paper is, if I look at Ekitike and he does for you guys what he did at the very least, what he did at Frankfurt in terms of goals, facilitating, contribution. If Wirtz comes in and does the same, then it's amazing. If Gyökeres does the same, it's amazing. That's how I view on paper as I look at what the player's done in the last 1, 2, 3 years and go, well, if that translates. If we then start changing it up and saying, well, what if Foden gets back to his best? What if Marmoush goes to another level? What if Doku starts scoring? Then yeah, they're probably number one if that starts to happen. But Foden had a bad year or so. You know, Marmoush, has been good, but will he even start? What we don't know is we don't know that. What I know about the players in my head for you, the players in my head for Arsenal, the players in my head for Chelsea United, we know they're starting. With City, it's a little bit ambiguous there right now. So yeah, that's why, again, there'll be people in the comment sections that will get clipped up and people will do their nut. But it's because people can't comprehend what on paper means. It's like the transfer window, or who won the transfer window. That is always a conversation for on paper, because your opinion normally changes by the end of the season. I think it was last summer we were all going, oh my God, look what West Ham have done. Look at all the players they're buying. By the end of the season, we were laughing at them along with the rest of us. But look, viewers, get that like button hit if you haven't done so already. Get yourselves subscribing today. But I do agree with you. I do think it is one of the best attacks in terms of we'll come back to the Man United side of this deal in a minute, and then we're going to go to some of the comments. But from a Newcastle point of view, I mean, I know you briefly touched on it earlier, but their fans are losing it. They've got tinfoil hats on for Ornstein and Fabrizio. And there was one massive TikTok that was put out that Newcastle fans are sharing and going, this is so true, that have essentially alluded to the fact that Fabrizio has forced Man United into buying the player and forced because the way Fabrizio has tweeted, it's influenced Man United to make a bid, and it's stopped Newcastle from signing him. I saw another Newcastle fan last night say that Sesko doesn't want Man United. He's just allowed Leipzig to pick for him, and Leipzig have decided United because it's like an old guard, old money thing, as opposed to letting him go Newcastle. I don't even mean this in a horrible way. There are so many Geordies that I actually respect because I've streamed with them or I follow their accounts.
Same.
They have lost their minds, Cal, over this. They've lost it.
Yeah, they have. But do you know what, Terry? I do. It's hard for me to feel sorry for them to an extent, because we as Liverpool fans have been attacked a lot by Newcastle fans this summer because of our pursuit for Isak. And I've always maintained, I go through history. While you guys were winning Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, you lost Cristiano Ronaldo. Liverpool have lost Suarez, Torres, Coutinho. We've just lost Trent. We've just won the league and lost Trent, who was a homegrown player. Chelsea have lost Eden Hazard. All these flipping Barcelona lost Neymar when Neymar was at the peak of his powers, playing alongside Messi and Suarez at the peak of their powers. Every team can get got at. So I think Newcastle almost had this divine right that Isak can't be sold, or no one can buy Isak. And I think that was the wrong way to approach from them. If I'm going to be objective though, Terry, if I'm a Newcastle fan, I would be losing my head as well, because you've only brought in Elanga so far and Ramsdale on loan. You haven't addressed any of the key issues that you really had in terms of, even if Isak stayed, you still needed another striker because Callum Wilson was gone. You need at least one or two centre-backs. You needed a top quality goalkeeper, not Ramsdale. And you needed at least one centre midfielder to give a bit of leeway to injury suspensions for that midfield three, which is arguably the most balanced midfield three in the Premier League, with Joe Linton, Tonali and Bruno. But goodness, they're just getting it so wrong, bro. And it's like, what is going on at Newcastle? What is Eddie Howe or whoever's speaking to these players saying for it not to get over the line? Again, I'm not going to lie to you, Terry. Last night we did a show on Coppish, bro. And at first I was like, I understand why Sesko would pick Man United over Newcastle. But then, bro, when I started reeling back and thinking of some of the names of players you'd signed since Fergie's gone and how their careers have gone, I had a full 180 and was like, no, really and truly should go Newcastle. But now I'm looking at Newcastle thinking, if you can't attract players and you can't keep your best players, why would I go to that project? Because if I'm Sesko right now, I'm seeing how Isak situation is playing out, in the sense of Isak wants to leave, but they're not really allowing him to. If I go Newcastle and the project doesn't bang and I want to go in 3 years, are they going to put these restrictions on me as well? It just doesn't look good. And I feel sorry for Newcastle fans in the sense of they've had to endure Mike Ashley. They had relegation, came back up, still having to endure Mike Ashley. Then you hit the lottery, get the richest owners in world football, but now their pockets are tied because of PSR. You're about to lose your best striker, your best player, arguably, and you can't get your targets over the line. Bro, if I'm going to be real with you, if I'm a Newcastle fan, I'm losing my mind as well, bro. It's really bad what's happening there.
I get it. Look, I mean, PSR was already in place before their owners arrived, and I think their owners should have been maybe a bit more aware of this. Yes, some tighter restrictions have come in around fair market value and sort of associated parties. But let's be fair. You know, I know people always twist it up as, oh, this company is trying to grow, so therefore it's going to use sort of Newcastle as a mechanism to grow its brand outside of, say, Saudi or the Middle East, and they're willing to pay, 4 times what United or Real Madrid could get as a shirt sponsor. The problem is that as much as people will find a way of using a little nuance or a little quote here or there to make that sound acceptable and normal, it isn't. If that company is legitimately a company that's looking to grow, you wouldn't pay Newcastle 200 million a year in a sponsorship deal when you could probably get far more coverage, far more eyes on you by sponsoring Liverpool 90 million a year. So those rules are in place. Again, I still think they're in place for the right reasons, whether they've been worded right or they've been implemented wrong. And the reason why I say they're right is this. I know that what Newcastle fans want, and I think they've admitted it this year, they just want their owners, who are worth trillions, to be able to spend whatever they want. I still stand on this. No one's given me a good enough other than there's a caveat where they could, whatever the debt they've put against the club, they would have to put the same amount of money into a bond. But it has been documented that owners don't want to do that because that means they've got billions of pounds sitting in an account that the Premier League have control over, and they don't like that. But I'd be very uncomfortable if Man United got owners that paid off all their debt, but then run up a wage bill that was 1 times, 2 times, 3 times higher than our organic revenue. I'd be very nervous if our revenue went up to £2 billion a year because we were suddenly getting sponsors off of the billionaire's family and friends. I'd be very nervous at that because all it takes is that person to pass on, get bored. A war breaks out in the country or the region of the world they're from. Sanctions come into place. They lose their money. I'm just throwing out some scenarios that we have literally seen happen from the Icelandic owners of West Ham right through to Chelsea Football Club. I'd be very nervous if my club's income and the way we paid salaries was dependent on our owner. You want to be self-sufficient. Thus, when that owner leaves, when the owner moves on, like Chelsea with Roman, and this is what PSR did for Chelsea, although they won't see it this way, is it made Chelsea, from when that came in the early 20 teens, is it made them work on new ways of increasing their revenue so that it was sustainable to spend how they do, to give the wages that they do. PSG have done it, and PSG probably had the best approach. Now, they're backed by the Qataris, yes, but their whole thing was the Jordan, the marketing, and they made PSG probably the coolest club in Europe to a point where football fans were so indoctrinated by the trend, they forgot that going out and buying that PSG shirt, even though you're an Arsenal fan, you were helping a European rival grow. That's why I would never do it. I could see what they were doing. I'm like, hang on, I'm not. That shirt looks beautiful, great colors. We all love the Jordan logo. We've all worn Jordans. We love that brand. We all like Nike, and it is Nike. I keep getting told off by one of my cousins for saying Nike. He goes mad at me, but it's like we helped them do it, and that's what Newcastle have got to push for. But these things take time, and I get why they're angry, and I know they think there's this red cartel. And by the way, look, let's just say they're right. And Liverpool and Man United and clubs like that vote for these rules that protect us.
Yeah.
So what? And I say that because right now, Newcastle fans would vote against those rules. Why? Because it's better for their club. So one argument I used to agree with was, Man United owners lack ambition. That's why they want PSR in place. It's nonsense. It's not about a lack of ambition. None of our owners, including cities, can compete with Newcastle's. So therefore, and people think, Brighton and Tottenham and Ipswich and I don't know, Luton when they were here, they're all controlled by Liverpool and United. No, they're not, you idiot.
Oh, of course not.
They'd be even further cut adrift if PSR was gone. Everybody votes for the betterment of their own club. What is best for us to be able to progress and move forward? And that's the nature of this situation. Part of me sometimes I would love a magic wand for some of these clubs and fans that don't want PSR. I'd love to create a sort of multiverse that they can be in where their club has an owner that runs up a £3 trillion debt. And yes, people, you don't have to have a loan from a bank to be in debt. If you're paying Lionel Messi in his pomp, £1 million a week. You've got Mbappe on £1.1 million a week. You've gone and signed Rodri from City, but it only comes, you're paying him 800 grand a week. You start adding that up, you're talking about billions of pounds owed to these players over a 5-year period. If that owner suddenly leaves, how can your club play it? I truly believe this, Cal. So many more clubs would have gone out of business in the last decade had they been able to spend willy-nilly and not have, it's like, not for me, I look at it like this. Loads of us when we're growing up don't want to wear seatbelts, but they save so many lives. And I think and people don't realize how many lives they save because they're just, because people have that little prang. They might have a sore neck and the airbag saved them a bit. But can you imagine if there was no airbag and no seatbelt? How many more people would be dying in these car crashes? That's how I view PSR. I get why they're angry. I get why they're attacking Man United. But look, they'll pivot and go and get another striker elsewhere. I know we've touched on this already. We'll go to some of the comments that have come in from the beginning of the show here. Let's go and look at some of these. Morning TFT, the Newcastle crash out is legendary. The richest club in the world moaning about finances is poetic justice. When you're big, you're big. It's very true, but also I've seen a lot of them, like in the montage we played. How can United do this? The rules are written because they've got high turnover. They can keep spending. It's like, that's not even again, by the way, as a Man United fan, I would love a rule to come in that said if you've got debt of over 100 million, you're not allowed to buy players, or you can't do this, you can't do that, or the owners have got to sell, because it would force my owners to pay our debts off. We'd love that.
Yeah.
But when you say the rules are stacked that way, if me and Cal both have the same mortgage, bought a house the same value, got the same mortgage, but Cal earns 3 times, 4 times as much money as me, he'll also be able to afford holidays, a new car, dinner out with his family. I'm not going to sit and go, it's so disgusting the way the chips are stacked against me. It's a disgrace that Cal can go out for dinner twice a week with his family and I can't because once I pay my mortgage, I'm broke. Well, that's just because I've got to get my money up. That's the long and the short of it. And again, I know not everyone's scenario in the world's the same, but I know Cal's situation. I know my situation. I can go and get my money up. I can do an extra job. I can work harder. I can get promotions. That's all that's going on here. There's no.
Also, just to be clear, I don't own 3 times as much as Terry even before. No handouts for me.
I don't know what Cal does, but I'm that way around, right? And at the end of the day, it's not that the chips are stacked against Newcastle. You've just got to increase your revenue. And then you hear, but it's impossible with PSR. Do you know one question that's still never been answered to me, Cal? Is this one? If Man City didn't cheat, how do they now turn over £1 billion a year if PSR stops small clubs growing? Hey, please. I honestly, I will pay someone.
We're not allowed to say Man City cheated, though. We're not.
Well, this is it. I'm not even saying they are cheats, but most Newcastle fans back City. Most City fans say, I know we didn't do it, but they all say PSR to hold them back. What I've never had an answer to is if PSR holds you back, why did City last year have more revenue than Real Madrid?
Terry, I've been calling this out since 2020. Bro. The pandemic is what really put me onto that and was like, so let me get this straight. Every other team in the world was operating at a loss during the pandemic apart from Man City. Make it make sense.
And if it's like, they've done some brilliant and innovative things. Like they bought, when they regenerated the area, I remember Big Steve telling me this. There was like roads that they owned, and then people like sponsored the roads, and we put this in. It's like, well, Newcastle could do the same. Their owners could start buying up the land and streets and things around Newcastle, and then go right. If this company, if a McDonald's wants to come in here now, they've got to pay us to do it, and it creates revenue. There's things they can do. I mean, just create a women's team and sell it to yourself for 300 million. Like, I don't know if Newcastle have a women's team, and I assume they do. But like, buy it. There are things you can do. This is my actual gut feeling. I think there are a lot of companies in Saudi that are connected to PIF that would rather invest elsewhere. But look how much money they're throwing into boxing. Why is Newcastle not connected into that?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're going to sell Newcastle. I still think if they had an opportunity to sell Newcastle and go and buy a bigger club now today, my gut feeling is I think they'd do it. I think they're just realizing that even though they own Newcastle, I also think what slowed down the progression of Newcastle is their own league. I think a lot more of the money, I think that Saudi as a nation, are looking at it as, well, I'd rather put in, if we could sponsor Newcastle 300 million, or we could keep growing our own league, where we're going to put that money.
Yeah.
And the thing is, PIF is still accountable to people outside of Saudi because millionaires and billionaires from all around the world invest in PIF. So they can't just, it isn't as simple as just some rich Saudi prince saying, spend it here, spend it there. There is constraints because of whose money they're spending as well. And it feels like they're spending it elsewhere. You know, they could, like Riyadh season, why can't that sponsor Newcastle United and pay them, you know, like an extra? There are things that more their owners could do, surely. You know, and just make it market value, but just have a sleeve shot, a left sleeve sponsor, a right sleeve sponsor, a short sponsor, a sock sponsor, a training ground sponsor, a grass sponsor, a dressing room sponsor. You know,
why isn't that happen?
You know what I mean? Do these things. I'm sure. Like, why are they not doing it? Like, that's my question to you. I think there might be legit answers to this.
Yeah.
As long as it's fair market value, if everybody else's arm sponsors average 8 million a year, we'll just have one on each arm. That's 16 million.
Yeah.
One on each pair of shorts. There's no rules against that as far as I've read. You know, but just make sure the amount are right. And that's the bit where I look at it and go, I think you're attacking United and Liverpool when maybe you should be looking closer to home.
Yeah, I agree.
Terry, with attack, arguably the only last season. Sorry, with I don't know what that's meant to say. Attack, arguably only last season's top 4 is better than United's. Defense maybe top 6, top 8. Midfield 2 is the bottom half on a good day. Yeah, look, I think United's attack was actually our worst area last year, and the stats back this up.
6 to 8 for defense, bro. You can't with Onana there. You can't.
Well, this is the thing.
He's part of the defense.
Yeah, no, but this is what I'd say. I think if you look at what we conceded last year, I think we fit inside the top 8 in terms of goals conceded. We were in the top part of the league for that. Even though it was bad, I'm not going to lie. Midfield-wise, only 4, maybe 5 teams in the league had more possession than us, and it was only by 3 or 4%. So as much as they need improving, it's the goals. We scored like 38 goals last season, bruv.
Yeah, that's true.
It's and this is the problem with this conversation when it comes to Man United, is all these areas were bad. It wasn't this thing of, the attack was pretty good while we focused on it. All the areas were rancid, and I think our approach has just been, rightly or wrongly, they've attempted this summer to fix the front line. And if these 3 guys work and click and gel together and do well, that is our front line sorted for 2, 3, 4 years. We don't need to address it. We can then go next summer and go, right, you know, my dream Man United midfield, incorporating Mainu as a 4 across the 4 I want in our midfield by the end of next summer. I'm very ambitious here, or very deluded maybe. I want Mainu, Wharton, Hackney, Belieber.
Hackney's a baller, Wharton's a baller, so Belieber. I don't know if you get all 3 of those players.
Yeah. Well, Hackney's available for about 20 million this summer. I think we should just go and do it, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one's pulled the trigger on Hackney, because Hayden's a good player. He plays really well, and he almost reminds me of a young Declan, not as good as Declan, but a young Declan Rice, in the sense that he can play the 6 and the 8 just as comparable to each other, and he drives well with the ball, and he's good at being press resistant and all that. I still look at United though, bro, and again, I think this is where you have your top 4 teams than the rest. It's the squad. So yeah, your front 3 now looks very, very good. So Cunha and Buemo and Sesko. Who's your backups to those guys? I know Ahmad plays right wing back, but Ahmad, I'm presuming, will also deputise for Buemo. Xerxes will probably deputise for Sesko now. Who deputises for Cunha? Because you're going to sell Garnacho and Rashford.
Yeah, so for me, I look at it this. So our attack, right? So Ahmad and Bruno and Xerxes can all play in that 10 role. So, and Xerxes can play in the 9 role. So I think that's where it's going to be. You've got young Obi that can go into there as well. So I think, you know, and that's where I think that will be our attacking players. So it'll be Sesko, Cunha, and Bumo. And then you'll have Bruno, Ahmad, Xerxes, Obi. Those 7 are going to fill those
Mason
6.
Mount. Shout out to the chat.
Mason Mount too. Yeah, Mason Mount. I forgot about him. Those 8 players will fit into those 3 areas. But then what you'll have is Bruno will also play central midfield. Ahmad will also play fullback. You will get Xerxes will play 10s and 9s. So that there'll be that kind of mixture, I think, of players. And again, listen, I agree. Man United's squad is nowhere near where it needs to be. But I was very aware that we were never going to fix our squad in one summer.
Yeah,
and even City, even Chelsea, look how much they spent in the first 3 years. £1 billion. their squad weren't complete. And I know they made mistakes in that as well, but all clubs will. And there's this thing that the best run clubs in the world only have a 50% hit rate of successful signings. So even if we base it on the highest possible percentage, when you average it out, if 50% of signings work, to think that it wouldn't take 3 to 4 years minimum to fix a squad, it's just gaga thoughts from football fans that think they're playing FIFA, where you can actually take a pretty average player. And I played online FIFA a few nights ago, and some guy had fairly average players in real life on his team. The way he was twining me up on the pitch, that's because his skills are good, and people can compute that to real football. Speaking of players that we all thought were average, you seen the nomination Ballon d'Or, Scott McTominay?
No, he ain't.
Yeah,
nominated
for the Ballon d'Or, which makes sense. I mean,
I big up Scott, because he player of the season in Serie A,
player of the season Serie A, yeah.
Wow, big up McTominay. But Terry, this goes back to my point in the sense of when you're at Man United, things aren't looking too great, and then when you leave, like,
do you know what? I forgot you said that earlier. I'm going to say this, right? I know he left under Ineos, but this was because that was a mistake. Yes and no. No, it wasn't a mistake. Let me just say this. It wasn't. Okay. Scott McTominay was one of those players that the negative online fans that ironically now will say Ineos are stupid for letting him go.
Yeah.
He was one of those players where I just think it was burnt. Too many fans were against him. We were bad. He was a massive scapegoat, and he wasn't good enough for us at the time. And he moved on. He's done well. But he left when the club was still, in my opinion, toxic. And this is why, and we've made a mistake. Well, I think overall we probably have made a mistake rethinking it, hindsight, etc. But that's based on, that all happened because of what Sir Jim told us in his interview with Gary Neville. They didn't have all of the people's feet under the table in terms of decision makers by the start of the summer. They made the wrong decision in keeping Ten Hag. That wrong decision created a butterfly effect, and they probably signed a couple of players they shouldn't, and they probably let a player or two go that they shouldn't. They probably kept a few players like Rashford's and Garnacho's that should have gone last summer, which Amorim and the Wilcots and Baradas and especially Vavell would have recognized, but they weren't in. They didn't. None of them really had their feet under the table at that particular point. Barada was in, to be fair, but it's not really this. The CEO's job isn't really to sit there in training and monitor those things. It gets fed into him. So it is, but where I would say it's different is I look at Lenny Yoro as a case in point. But the problem we have is a very small sample size. So I can't debunk the players don't develop fully. It's going to take 2 or 3 years to show people. But if I look at Dorgu, who I actually don't think was bad for us last year, looked very good in pre-season. If I look at young Hayden Heaven that's come in. If I look at what Yenny Yoro is looking like, who still is getting an unfair rep, because in one of his first games he got cooked. Outside of that, he's been absolutely brilliant. So many of our players, have developed. Ahmad's got better as an example. I think what we need is a couple more seasons of players like Mbumo and Cunha maintaining their ability, and these youngsters developing. And I think it will put things to bed. My only real pushback is, yes, we burnt so many great players we've signed, top players and talented players, but that was the Woodward era. That was pre-Ineos, pre-Amorim. There has been a changing of the guard. And my hope, and it is a hope because I'm not in there every day, is that we now start to see a progression like you saw there was a difference. Well, after a couple of years, you guys really started to see the difference from Hicks and Gillette running your club to FSG running your club. Yeah. But it sometimes takes a little bit of time. And this is where we are all impatient. People forget that Liverpool didn't go from being nearly out of business, out of Europe, FSG coming in, to being what Klopp had you purring at, or what you did last year in a summer or two. It took 3, 4, 5 years to get to that point because you've got to undo all that crap. And that's why I look at it this way, just my personal perspective. Happy with the business, the players we've bought this summer. Happy with a lot of our decisions that are going on. Loved our approach for this transfer, by the way. We ain't bidding until we know the players joining us. I love the fact we didn't yield on that. That is more Michael Edwards than I've seen Manchester United in 13 years. And I use Michael Edwards because I think he's the very best in the business. We've said this summer, we'll get rejected by players because that's normal with where we are. But we won't bid until you commit to us. We've done that 3 times now this summer. And I look at that and go, that's the right approach. Because right now, I'm not worried about hijack. I'm not worried about the deal collapsing. And when we bid yesterday and there was still not that confirmation that he committed to us, I was sitting there going, if we fucking break that protocol, if we bid and then he decides to join Newcastle, we have undone any progression we've made this summer in terms of being an authority when it comes to dealing with our rival clubs. So, listen, I agree. Players have left us and done better because we're toxic and horrible. But those little things, like how we got this deal done, those are the types of things that I think stop the toxicity. They're the types of things that it sends a message to the players of, we're a bit more serious here. And you've had real jobs like me. When you've got a company that's serious, where the boss is on fair but firm, doesn't cut corners, no one's taking the piss. If you've got a boss that lets everyone turn up late, lets people leave early, lets you take a 2-hour lunch, even if you're a hard worker, you start cutting corners because you can. And I just think, and there's one thing that Amorim said the other day, and again, I'm going to use your club as an example. I used to say this under Klopp a lot when Klopp was there. Klopp don't even have to tell players off because Mo Salah and Alisson and Henderson and Van Dijk, they police that dressing room. And I believe this about society as well. Self-policing is the best way to create change. We shouldn't need an actual police officer or the government or the schools to make it. It should be done. They always say, don't they? A village raises a family. Raises a child. Sorry, and there's an element of truth in that. Like we should. Me and we've had this private conversation. There'll be one of our fellow YouTubers that we're all friends with who's acting like a knob online, and there'll be certain people like, it's just how that person is. I'm not going to say anything. And I look at it and go, why would you not reach out to that person and say, stop being a fucking dick to people? Be a man about it. And that's how I look at the club. And when Amorim said the other day, I don't have to deal with all the little fires anymore. I've got a group in the dressing room doing it for me. I know that's been gone for a long time because of what Rooney said. We'd lose a game, we'd turn up to training the next day, and it used to be a little bit morbid, a little bit frustration, a little bit of an inquest. Let's get our head down, work hard, and respond. He turned up to training, music's on, everyone's dancing like they just won. And as much as those players have refuted they did it, why is Rooney lying? For what reason is Wayne Rooney lying? And I believe that culture has been there. I'm not against players having a good time and enjoying their personal lives, but I think if you've lost a game of football and you come into training the next day to work on those mistakes, you should be coming in serious. You shouldn't be coming in like things are okay. And that's the same in any walk of life. You've had a bad week in your job of sales and you haven't hit your targets and the company's struggling. If you turn up and I'm not expecting you to be depressed. If you're turning up and you're not focused and you're acting like everything's perfect, there's a problem there for me. So look, there's a lot of improving for us to do, but I've seen some really good green shoots of hope this summer.
No, I agree. I didn't expect you guys to end up with a front three like you've ended up with. As I said, there's still areas to work on, but maybe this is a summer where you focus on attack. Maybe next summer you focus on midfield, and then maybe the summer after that you focus on defense or reanalyze things there. Not to say you won't pick up players in the meantime, but maybe that's the way you're looking at it. But very good start to the rebuild.
And I hope so. And look, we've got to see it on the pitch. We've got to see the improvements on the pitch, and I stand on that. I've got a Keith Downey because I know that Goldbridge's been having a bit of beef with Keith, and I beef with Keith. That should become a segment now. Or let's check. I think he said something the other day, Mark, where he said let's check Keith's tweets. So beef with Keith or Keith's tweet should be a new feature on their show. But he has said here that Eddie Howe has arranged a family day with all these players and staff, partners and children are all invited to the training ground. It's the first day back for the squad following their tour. However, there's a feeling here this comes at a good time with players and staff after a difficult summer off the pitch. It's mad that it's like almost like a crisis party to get everyone in a good mood. That tells me that Newcastle players aren't feeling very good right now as well.
Well, how can you? And this is what's so crazy about football. We all sat there. Well, I'm not going to say everyone. I sat there along with people I know. And when Newcastle secured Champions League football in the last game of the season, sat there and was like, well, Isak's staying now, which is annoying. And they're going to go and do a madness in the window because they've got Champions League football and they've got all this money behind them. A couple of months later, we're sitting there going, was it even worth them getting Champions League football? Because if they go into the Champions League and the Premier League with this squad that they've got now, without Isak, they're going to struggle this season. And that's going to leave the door open for them not reaching Champions League the following season, which is then going to have a knock-on effect on their finances and revenue. So, again, football's a funny game because in May, at the end of May, when the league was finished, we all sat there, or a lot of us sat there and was like, Newcastle could be a real handful because they had a good season.
No,
Now
I
seeing
agree.
it
I
going,
agree.
What the hell's going on there?
James here says Benjamin Sesko was mocked because everyone thought he was going to Arsenal. I think there's some truth in that. There's certainly some
There
truth
is.
that
I never mock Sesko. I look. We spoke about this before we went live. I don't understand the Sesko hate. I don't sit there and think he's world class or he's amazing, but he's not a trash signing, like by any stretch of imagination. He's a good striker. Could he be great? Maybe, but I think right now he's a good striker. He's not rubbish.
I agree. Marchin here says if Chelsea sell Nico Jackson for 60 to 70 million to Newcastle after getting the lap and João Pedro for 85, 90 million combined, what would you rate that out of 10? I'd go 9.
Probably about the same.
Yeah, I mean, you've taken 2 of their targets and then sold them your leftovers.
Yeah,
for similar money to those guys. It's transactionally, it's phenomenal. I think again, the Lap and João Pedro are light years better than Nico Jackson as well. So that'd be fantastic business.
Yeah, agreed.
Abs here says embarrassing to see Newcastle fans start moaning about money and United have and PSR when they are throwing money around and are funded by state. Do you know what I do find funny? I saw a Newcastle fan yesterday and I got called out for tweeting this, but he basically, I'm going to get the tweet. I want to make sure I read it out correctly. So he put out a tweet saying exactly how the Premier League want it. The precious Sky 6-pack back, where's PSR allows them to. So the top 6 spenders this summer are the traditional top 6. And I just quote tweeted and said, if Newcastle had not been rejected by players, how much would they have spent?
Yeah, like
it's the fact that the only reason you're not in that top 6 is because you got rejected by Pedro, rejected by Delat, rejected by Cunha and Bumo and Sesko. Now there's another rejected by Mark Gahey. Had you landed, you wouldn't have signed them all, of course. But if you'd have got if you'd have got Ekitike, Mbumo, Gahey, Trafford, you'd have spent 260 million having a go at us guys to spend it. It's so flawed, man.
It's like, and look, they don't have a sporting director at the moment. Why does Newcastle United not have a sporting director going into what is probably their biggest summer of their history?
Yeah, so true, mate. So true. Tybox here with a massive donation. Thank you, bro. He says, I used to despise Man United. They became so bad, I actually felt sorry for them. However, this proves they are still an absolute powerhouse of a club. I'm actually pleased for you personally. I hope they foul, though, of course. Great signing. And, of course, I don't expect anyone to... Well, in reality, people want United to foul. Although, and mate, I would love, because of our age, we have never been in the social media world where United, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea have all been pretty good.
Yeah,
it would be. I don't think people realize if you could repeat with City included and Newcastle and Spurs as well. But if you could replicate that kind of 03-04 to 2013 period where those 3 teams were predominantly all really good, could all win the Champions League, I don't think people realize what the online community world would be like. It'd be amazing. Because what we normally have every year is 1, 2, sometimes 3 of those fan bases disengaged. Yeah, get them all engaged at the same time.
It'd be insane.
Every day would be a madness, but beautiful. It'd be great debates, great arguments, great football, and I just feel that's all part and parcel of it.
Facts.
Thank you, Tybox, for that super chat and that donation. It's so generous of you. Thank you. One thing I haven't seen is Sesko fast.
Yes, he's rapid.
Very quick.
He's rapid.
And the way, do you know he's much quicker than he was, but with the ball at his feet, he can sometimes get a bit out muscled by some of the big defenders, and he's probably got to work on that. But technically with his feet, he reminds me of, Peter Crouch was actually quite technically gifted for a player so tall. Yeah. He's a little bit, he's better than that, but it reminds me of it where you think, oh, he's stuck in a little gap here, and he does a little shuffle, does a little, I don't even know what the skills are called anymore, but a little step over, a little roll, and moves the ball. He's really technically gifted as well. Like when people say he's got no technique, I'm like, the way he strikes a ball, the way he dribbles past people, his hold up play is good, needs to improve. Yeah. His one touch play in the build up though, so ball's getting fizzed into his feet, knocking it round the corner to a teammate, knocking it back and making a run off the shoulder. That part of his game, the stuff I've seen has been fantastic.
Yeah.
For United with these signings, if we jump from 15th to 5th or 6th, That will be an incredible leap, in my opinion. Even on paper, there are still big gaps. Listen, if we end up 5th or 6th this year, I think most United fans would take that right now. If you said, right, you'll get 5th or 6th as a guarantee, no higher, but that's a guarantee, I'd take it. I'd absolutely take it. 5th could get you Champions League. And at least if you're 5th, you're going to get some kind. 6th, you're going to get some kind of Europe. But I think I'd take that right now, Patrick. I'd take it right now.
Yeah, I don't think any Man United fan wouldn't. You'd be crazy not to take top 5 right now. I don't think you'll get it unless something crazy happens between now and the end of the window. But you should be aiming for it.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree that we should. It's funny because I get called out for saying I'm setting a goal of 40 more league goals next year. I'm setting a goal for the club to score 40 more league goals. I think we'll get around. I think 30 for me is the minimum, but I'm pushing for an aspiration of 40 because I believe
38 goals last season.
It may have been a little bit more than that. It might have been. It was high 30s, low 40s we scored last year.
You should be aiming for around the 70 mark minimum.
Yeah, exactly. And if we get 30, let's go and see what we got in total. Last year we actually scored 44 goals. So for me,
30 goals.
Yeah, 40 goals would put us on par with Liverpool's goal scoring last year, and that's aspirational. 30 though, to get to around the mid 70s, it's actually still. It wasn't a very high goal scoring year last year. Only 2 teams got 70 goals or more, and that was City and yourselves. But I think that we should be aiming for that because I believe if we get that amount of goals, that's anywhere between that's a minimum 7 more wins. Yeah. But again, aspirationally, I'd be saying to the club, if I was running Man United right now, I'd go right to get to where we want to be. I'd say you won 11 games, you scored 44 goals. I'd be saying aim for a minimum 7 more wins, but there's aspirationally this push for those 10. If you get the 10, there's a little bonus in there for you because you had. 10 more wins is crazy. That would have, that puts us to 72 points. That's crazy. But you've got to set these aspirational goals. You've got to set a minimum standard of improvement, and I have that around 7. But if we could get 10, I'll be blown away by that progression within a year. But this is where you get, Terry, you're so deluded. I'm just setting a standard. I don't think it's delusional to say we could win 7 more games next year. I don't.
No, I don't expect, and I don't think it's crazy to say that you expect another 30 goals from your team when you just improve your front 3 as well, because that if you're just looking at the front 3, that's 10 goals each for them. I don't think that's a crazy arc for Mbeumo, Cunha, and Sesko.
No, I totally agree, mate. This here says reduced scouts. Yes, we've got reduced scouts now. Just employ Newcastle as a scout. Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. I love it. What targets do Newcastle go for now? Who do you think they should go for up front, Cal?
Probably Watkins and Wissa.
Yeah, and that's still
the
very
only
good.
problem with that, they're a bit on the older side. Maybe actually, I don't know, Wissa and someone. Wissa, I think, represents good value for market price and what he's done in terms of output. And then you got Jackson, you got Watkins, Boniface, you got other strikers out there, but they need 2 in. We need them to get 2 in as well because we need Isak. So Goncalo Ramos is a shout from Bruno as well in the chat.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I think that's a decent shout for him. Can you both think we will get? Can you both think? I mean, do you both think that Man United will get a keeper and a midfielder?
I don't think you'll get a keeper. I think you might sneak a midfielder through the door. I don't know who. I think you'll sneak a midfielder through the door. I'm again, Terry. There's no shame in my game, bro. I don't want Onana to be benched or leave Man United. He's one of my favorite players to watch in the Premier League as a Liverpool fan. I need that for at least one more season.
Let me get a ranking out of you, Cal. If we know what our front 3 is, if we were to sign Lemaines, the new young goalkeeper, and Hackney as our last 2 signings, how good a summer out of 10 on paper is that for Man United?
10 on paper for United, probably go 7.
Well, what if this weird rumor comes true? What if Man United pulled off Donnarumma?
Then you're going up to an 8.
That's fair. That's fair. I'd take that. Again, I'd have taken an 8 out of 10 summer at the beginning. If that
Can
makes
I
sense.
ask you a question?
Yeah, go
if
on, mate.
Liverpool don't sign a centre back, but we sign Isak, what would you rate our window?
So
we sold Kwanzaa, so we're down to 3 centre backs: Gomez, Kanate, and Virgil. If we don't sign a centre back, but we get Isak through the door, what would you rank our window out of 10?
Oh, yeah. If you only end up having 3 centre backs. Now, bear in mind, I don't know how good your academy centre backs are.
They're not
I think it takes you from a 9.5 to a 7.5 because.
Wow.
Yeah. And the reason I say that is because it wouldn't be Slot's fault and it wouldn't be the player's fault. But if Van Dijk, touching wood, does a knee, does an ankle, is out for 6 months, you're left with 2 centre backs for the season. And you just know with the amount of games you got to play, that could cost you winning the title, no matter how many goals you score. As we all know, goals win your games, your defense wins your titles. And I would then look at FSG and say, how can you pull off one of the greatest attacking summer transfer windows ever and not sign a centre back and you let Konza go? That for me, because it could stop you from retaining your title. So again, that's on paper. It could drop that much. Where if you add Isak and you add Mark Gahey, then you're a 9.5 with the potential to become a 10 if it clicks and works. It would be one of the greatest windows I've ever seen before. But my markings would put you down because I just think it leaves you. You're so vulnerable. One bad injury, and after all that money, you might not retain your league title. And I look at it and think, I think you will sign a centre back. I can't imagine FSG and Edwards and Hughes going, those 3 will be all right. With Gomez's injury concerns, and Konate picks up a few as well. Like, I just can't imagine you're going to do that personally.
No, I agree. I
can't see it.
I agree.
So yeah,
I know it's going to sound really greedy. I also think we need a wide forward as well as an attacker and a centre mid, as well as a striker and a centre back as well. Arguably 2 centre backs, but that's very, very greedy. But you know me, I'm here for all 4, bro. So,
I hear you, mate. I hear you. Look, Cal, I know you've got to shoot off because you're looking after the little. I'm going to take some calls and stuff now, bro. Always a pleasure to sit and speak football with you, my G. And we'll chat again soon. People, go check out Coppish. Go check out Coppish TV, an amazing Liverpool channel. It really, really is. And we'll chat again soon, my bro.
Appreciate you, bro.
Cheers,
guys, smash the like button. Big up, Terry.
Cheers, man. Thanks, Cal. Top man. Thank you. We're going to take some of your calls in a moment on the show this morning. Make sure the like button has been smashed. Make sure you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. And you've got that bell notification button. I cannot tell you enough how important that is. Big up to all the communities that are here, the Football Terrace community, the United Stand community, and everyone who has tuned in today. I think I've done all your super chats so far. I think they're all done. I'm sure more will come in because you're such amazing people. When's the here we go is what William says. Look, when is the here we go? Any moment now. It's one of them. It's really, really close, and you could just see it drop at any second. But I'm not too worried about it. There's this talk in Germany that United have very slightly increased their bid. It's all very close. You know, we're talking 6 days, 7 days on this deal from when we said that's who we're going for to this point. I can't quite believe. Well, I can believe we've worked faster because the closer you get to deadline day, it's like a black hole. The time speeds up. But I want it done that quickly as well because it'd be great to get a formal announcement on Friday with the new training ground opening at Carrington and stuff like that. It'd be amazing. Oh, sorry. No, I didn't miss yours, James. I definitely put yours up on the screen, unless you put another one in. Oh, no, you did. Sorry. You says may take months for clubs to suss United's attack out. It may. I also think it will take a little bit of time for Manchester United to sort of come together and to feel gelled in that way. So yeah, I think both things can be true at the same time. I'm going to put the link. If you guys want to phone in, I'm going to put it into the live chat right now so you guys can phone in and have your say. Is KJ coming on to have a little chat? I don't know. His camera's not on. He's backstage though. He's been warring with Newcastle fans all morning, so he might be jaded. He's been warring. But if you want to phone in now, we'll take some calls for a period of time because we do love to hear from our community. Terry, do you think Liverpool will still get Isak despite Sesko going United? Yes. Darwin Núñez is pretty much done and sold. So, yes, they're going to do it. And the player doesn't want to be there. And that holds such potency. It really, really does. First caller of the day, I've got my bro Pav coming on now to have his say. Welcome back to the show, Pav. Big deal for Man United. Give me your thoughts, brother.
Yeah, it's a big deal, bro. And finally, we're getting I wouldn't say a top level striker at the moment because he's got a lot of work to do in terms of his game. But it's better than being linked to Jackson. I was happy with either Watkins or Sesko, innit? Ideally Sesko, just because of how Ineos want to operate in terms of not bringing in a striker who's maybe got 2 years or so left on his, in terms of like, say, what he can produce on the pitch. But I think they still probably would have gone in for Watkins if this still didn't happen. I'm happy with it. He is a decent striker. It is someone that Ravel knows. Obviously, worked with him at Salzburg to Leipzig. And yeah, I'm quite happy with it. And it just means that we can get rid of Rasmus. In my opinion, we need to get rid of Rasmus and Xerxes. He shouldn't be at the club. Not good enough for the club and never will be. But I'm happy with this one. Now it's down to Amram to turn him into that monster that he turned Gyökeres into. And that's what I'm kind of looking forward to with Sesko. He has got a lot of attributes that I think Amram's looking for in terms of pace. He's got the physicality. He's got power. He's 6'5". People are calling him the baby Zlatan. I'll jump on that bandwagon. I have seen a couple of comps, as you do. But I have been watching a bit of Bundesliga as well in my free time. So yeah, he is a half decent player. And if Arsenal were happy to bid for this guy, but didn't go for it just because of the whole package, then it's not like we've gone to him and it's something like we would say in the past, we're just throwing money at it, because we're not. Because ideally, say if he works out in the next couple of years, he could be here for a minimum of 8 years. And what is the total package? Was it 85 million euros?
Yeah, it's going to be about 85 million euros, yes.
So say if he's here for the next 7-8 years, it works out all right in terms of, as long as we keep him beyond 5 years, it works out a decent deal.
Mate, and you're spot on. That's what Man United needs to get to a point of doing, where when we're dropping 65, 70 million pounds on players, we need to get good quality performances out of them for a 4, 5, 6 year period. One of the only players we've done that with, whether people like him or loathe him, is Bruno. No one thinks about the 57 million pound we paid for him. No one talks about it because he's delivered. And I think if we could get to that point where we've got a striker that's scoring 15 plus league goals a year, helping us win games, performing really, really well, I think it just changes everybody's concern. And it means you don't need to then reinvest again. It means you pay that player off. They then become a player that if you sell, you get pure profit for, which means it's easier to, and that's where the cities and everybody else do so well with selling. There's not this desperation to sell because they don't have all this bad equity and bad debt on players that's holding them back. And some people can, why haven't United sold more players this year? It's really the Newcastle fan in the montage I played saying that players don't want to go, they feel trapped because they're on too high a salary. No, they're not trapped. They're refusing to leave because they're on £250,000, £300,000 a week, and other clubs won't pay them that, so they stay. That's what we need to get away from. And
the thing is, Terry, the environment at United has been bad. We know it's been bad, and we can't run away from it. It's been bad, so other clubs are like, right, we're not going to pay United, or we'll try to fleece them. They're desperate to get rid of these players, as everyone knows. But I think as soon as Amram's already making changes, I'm not a fan of Amram because I never liked the 3-back formation. I've never liked it, even with the Van Gaal days. And Amram was not my choice if I managed to come in. But I will work with it as long as he does his job. I'm happy. But he's changing a lot of things in the background. And in terms of with the squad, how they act, how they operate, what they do, I think they've all written, there was rumours that they've all signed documents in terms of you're not allowed to leak this, you can't do this. And we already know the criminals that were doing it because one of them's gone. The other ones should be leaving. So as long as he's making a lot of these background changes and he changes how the squad operate, that will feed into the youngsters as well. So going forward, we should be operating in terms of we should be getting decent fees for players in the next few years. I don't think it's going to happen straight away, but I can see it. Sometimes it's hard to say give it time, but I'm someone who doesn't have patience because, brother,
I know
13, 14 years I've seen the same crap, bro. It comes to a point where it's you run out of patience. But
this is it though. I do get you. I've just always looked at it the other way because it's new people running it. My kind of patience switch sort of starts again. Equally though, when they annoy you, you have less tolerance to it. I totally agree. Pav, always a pleasure to speak, mate, and we'll chat again soon.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. Top man. Thank you. Breaking news whilst we're live. Liverpool and I forgot the name of the team. It's Al Hilal have reached a full agreement to sell Darwin Núñez to the Saudi club, thus opening the door for Alexander Isak to go to Newcastle. The money being raised there. They're going to get not as much as people thought, actually. So it's actually not as good a deal. Sorry to say this to Liverpool fans. It's coming in at £46 million, not the 70 million that was originally being quoted. But I think that's a really fair price for a flop. I think it's a really, really fair price for a flop, right? I'd love 40 million for all of our flops, bruv. But yeah, that has just been confirmed now by David Ornstein. So full steam ahead for Isak now with, what's that in total? So that's going to be about 100+ million they've raised for Diaz and Núñez. Sorry, Kane's backstage. We're chatting to him in a minute because they're coming for your striker, bruv. Do you know what's going to happen, Kane? Whilst your team are at the family party today, Liverpool are going to come and steal Isak. I don't even want that to happen. I don't know why I'm laughing. KJ's joining me now. Then we're going to take some more of your calls. Morning, brother.
Yo. No war can get me down, Terry. We keep going. We keep marching on.
I know. You liar. Yeah, that's crazy thing. But so look, how happy are you this morning? The player has picked us. The deal very, very likely to complete now.
Yeah, I think it's very good work from Man United. We have done a strategy that people were questioning, and it's worked. You know, people were, hey Kane, how you doing, man? People were wondering, why Man United waiting so long? Why are they just matching what Newcastle are doing? Why aren't they making a move? Oh, it's because they're broke. All these things were being said, but we stuck to our guns. We stuck to our strategy, and it's come off. And we have to commend Ineos for doing that. We have to commend Wilcox and Barada, and we have to commend Vivell because ultimately he's the guy that drove this deal, and they've come together and pulled it off. Now, I said yesterday, I'll reiterate, it's an overpay. We've paid way more than I would have liked to. If you said at the start of the window, how much would you pay for Sesko? I would have been happy with like 60 to 65 max. They've gone up to the 70, 78, 75 million. So they've gone up by quite a bit. It's an overpay. But at the end of the day, the position that we're in, we need to get players through the door. And we need players that will improve us. And the main thing is, Sesko's profile matches what Amorim would like in a striker. He's physical. He's quick. He can hold the ball. He can lay off the ball. He can run the channels. And he can shoot. You know what I'm saying? He can shoot. He takes high volume shots. Rasmus Højlund wasn't taking lots of shots from Man United. Wasn't taking many shots at all. Sesko would take shots, you know, and hopefully that will pay some dividends when it comes to scoring goals, because the more shots you take, the more chances you are to score, right? So the profile is what we need, and that's the most important thing. And now we've sorted out our attack. Now, hopefully, we can score way more goals. You saying 70, 80 goals is crazy, not gonna lie, but if we can get closer to the top 5 in goals scored,
I think we'll score 30 more. I think we'll score 30 more with the players that we bought. I'm pushing for 40 more. I'm pushing for it, but we'll see. Kane, yay! He picked us. How you feeling, mate?
Devastated, in all honesty.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're a good guy. I shouldn't be winding you up, really, but sorry.
I appreciate it. No, yeah, I'm frustrated. What can I say? It's another one. I've been listening all morning. You've raised some interesting points. Some I agree with, some I don't agree with. I think some questions need to be asked of the board. I think our sporting director quitting like 2 days before the window has really put a spanner in the works and kind of messed us up royally. I'm not going to question the ambition. I think we've targeted the right players. It's just the recruitment team have not got the job done. And it's another one that we've missed out on.
Listen, I think it's a big part of that. And now it's always the afterthought is important. There's that element of you bid twice, you're going to end up. I was listening to about 3 or 4 different Newcastle streamers last night. They're like, I don't get why United won't bid the same as us. That's disrespectful. And I'm like, part of that is the PR. We're going to sign him for less than you bid. And that's where you've got to have the right people. Man United, by the way, this is why I'm sympathetic. We had bad people running our transfer negotiations for 12 years. And we would do like that, where we'd overbid, we'd get rejected. You know, we did it with Sancho. We're like, there's no deadline. We're going to come in the last week of the window and get him. We really thought that Man United would really believe we were going to do it. We put the bid in and got rejected within a few seconds. And we went, oh, shit. So I know how you feel, mate. I do. Who do you want to pivot to now? Who would be your choice on a football level now, rather than the board? Who do you want your team? Who do you want to see yourselves linked with later today by Keith and Chris No Hope?
Doesn't matter at this point. I guess in seriousness, Ollie Watkins would be a good alternative. Do I see him getting him out of Aston Villa? I don't know, because I feel like Aston Villa might dig their heels in at this point in the state. It's not a case of do we find the right value for the target. It's also the time now. We're already in the first week of August. The Premier League starts soon. Are we able to pull off like a Watkins deal? I don't see Aston Villa saying yes to any sort of move now. And then you sort of looking elsewhere. I did say Samu from Porto looks like a highly touted prospect as well. I don't know. I mean, Johan Visser's there. Again, I'll stress what I said last time. Johan Visser coming in is a Callum Wilson replacement. I don't think you bring a Johan Visser in to replace an Isak. And as much as you like to say that Isak is definitely going, we're getting to that point now where difficult decisions are going to be made. I would like to get rid of Isak at this point, given his behavior and his desire to leave. But at the same time, I don't want to get rid of a player as good as Isak and not have a decent, not like you're never going to replace Isak, but at least someone comparable or someone we can actually mold into becoming the next Isak. Because again, we have a Champions League campaign that we've got to prepare for, and with an unhappy Isak is better than just Johan Visser and Will Asula, as horrible as that sounds.
So, look, I can do you a deal.
We're not having Hoyland for whatever you're about to say.
Yeah, but it's more than that. No, I can do you more than that, right?
No.
So we can give you we can do the caboodle here, right?
Okay,
so
I'm listening then.
So we can do a big caboodle here for you.
Okay.
So we can give you a very. If you look at the European goal scoring record of Rasmus Højlund, one of the best in England the last 2 years. This is
You're doing the Chelsea thing now. Stop it.
This is a fact, right? You've got Onana, who is an improvement on your goalkeeper. Now, we'll do you a combined deal where we will pay you £20 million to take them off our hands.
I'll tell you what, I'll rebuttal that. I'll rebuttal that. I have a rebuttal for you.
That's a
then.
Staffy offer. Staffy wants us to lose money on our players. He keeps saying it.
I'll give you a rebuttal then, and this will suit Staffy. I will give you the 70 million we would have given for Sesko, plus Matt Target, who we've apparently left and sold, but we haven't because that was from a parody account. And,
sorry. Did you see the other one? Did you see the other parody that you left Target in Asia?
That was a parody though. That wasn't real. That was from
I know, but it was so funny because it could be real. That's why it was funny, because it could be.
I mean, yeah, maybe that's probably the best ones. The best ones are somewhat realistic. So
yeah, because you're losing all your targets as well. It was a great pun. Pun.
I think that was the reason. But yeah, I'll do the 70 million plus Matt Target's flight from Korea for Bruno Fernandes.
You know what? I'd actually take that.
70 million for, yeah. Do you know what? Then we'll do a better deal. How about we do a swap? Bruno for Bruno.
No.
Nice try. Kane, listen, mate. Appreciate you coming on, having your say. We'll chat again soon, brother.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed. Staffy is on with us now. What are you saying, brother?
Yo, what time is it over there?
7 a.m., bro.
7 a.m. people. 7 a.m. people. He's ready. He's ready to cook.
Bro, this is what I always say. The money don't sleep. All right? The money don't sleep. You sleep, the money don't sleep. The early bird always gets the worm. So I'm an early bird, bro. I'm up at random times. I'll be texting the chat 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. But then when I disappear after that, I'm not telling the people that I'm actually making up for that sleep that I missed out on. So I pretend that I'm just a vampire. So when I disappear for the next few hours, I'm not sleeping. Anyways, Yeah, I just saw you were live. I was like, wait, Terry always wants to send me the link. Today, there's no link. Like when there's a party on the Geordies, we're not sending the link. I want a piece of this. I wanted to talk about it. So I was surprised. Where's my link today?
I just, you know what it is? We're so used to like Staffy's happy hour, like and you being upset and you not being, you know, your unhappy hour. But no, listen, it's great.
You want to know a funny story about this? I have a friend of mine that lives in Long Island, and his friend watches the show. So I don't know him, but that's my friend's friend. And he was like, yo, when you speak to Staffy, just tell him to stop complaining. I was like, wait, what happened? And he was like, they have a section for him on a show called Unhappy Hour or something like that. And he was like, what is that? I was like, oh, it's a show that I do every Friday. He doesn't even know the channel. He just knows his friend told him. So the news are in Long Island that I'm unhappy. So there you go. Thank you so much.
But look, it is a good look in terms of the fight for the deal, the way we've ended up executing it. Great. I know that I know that a lot of people have misquoted you online, Staffy, that you don't think the player's good. I know you do rate him. How happy are you with this deal?
I never called him shit. I don't know why people say that. I don't know why people say I said Sesko. I don't even live in England. There's probably no reason for me to think of Sesko. So please stop saying that. I only know of Sesko because I actually went to England once. So I do know what Sesko is. But it just doesn't sound like a joke like I would make. Like at least make it original. Make it yank so we can believe it. But no. I like the player. He wasn't my first option. I thought he would be better suited for Arsenal. I think I said that for weeks and months, actually. That I thought he'd be suited for Arsenal more. So if I thought he's suited for Arsenal, it means I rate him somewhat. So yeah, I think it's overpriced. As I said, I think the only reason that I thought he would flop is just because of the club, not necessarily him. But when I tuned in, I heard KJ's talking about his profile, and that's basically what the manager wants. And the beauty about these type of signings, forget the price, because I just think the price is unreasonable. That's just my principle in football in general. When you sell ideas rather than reality, I think it should be a lot cheaper than this. Unfortunately, football now has become, you pay the most money for the best idea I could sell you. Back in the day, it used to be this amount of money for what the player currently does now. So they're just selling us what the player could be in the next 2 or 3 years, which I'm not a big fan of when it comes to this price. But the beauty about it is I think he has a lot of raw attributes that you can mold him into whatever you want him to be. It reminds me a lot of when we were signing Euro, because Euro was an overpay, don't get me wrong. But I was okay with that overpay because I looked at all of his attributes. I'm like, you can make a lot of things out of this player. He's good on the ball. He's pacey. He's tall. All that stuff. So you can make him whatever you want. I look at Sesko and he's the same thing. I don't know why you left. Did I say something crazy?
No, you know. Keith Downey's put out a tweet about they're holding a party at Newcastle. Family and friends are invited. Someone's quote tweeted it saying, exclusive, the partners and children have turned down this offer. Newcastle now move on to other targets. It then says aunties and uncles have been mentioned.
They're getting rejected by everyone, bro.
Man. They are going through it.
They're getting rejected by everyone. But no. The thing about Sesko is he can be molded into anything we could make him, and that's gonna come down to us. It's gonna come down to how we nurture him, because we've been a bad club recently at nurturing players. We haven't been helping players develop. We've been putting players too early in situations where they have to sink and swim, but too many players end up drowning because we don't give them the best platform to succeed. I'm hoping because maybe this regime is a little bit different than what we're used to, and we sign a couple senior attackers like Cunha, like Mbuemo. It kind of helps him not be under that pressure right away to perform. Obviously, listen, when you play for United and you play that number 9 position, you're always expected to perform. But I'm hoping that we don't put too much pressure on him, and the fact that he's playing with better players around him, we can actually make him a better player. He has so many attributes. As I said, when I say baby Zlatan, it's a little bit of a joke in that because obviously it's just easy to make these analogies on YouTube and it's catchy. But on a serious note, he does have a lot of attributes that you can make a decent striker out of him. He's tall, he's physical, he's fast, he hits the ball very hard. His hold-up play is good. Now let's see how he's going to be when he has to run the channels in the Premier League, because that's not something that he does really in the Bundesliga a lot. It was more of the hold-up striker. So now let's see what he does a little bit more when he's expected to be higher up the pitch and making runs for better players around him, like Mbeumo, like Cunha. So as I said, he has the raw talent to mold him into something, but he's going to be something completely different than what he was doing at Leipzig, because he's not going to come in and just be a holder player for us. So there's going to be a lot of coaching. So Amra's going to be looked at, and I'm going to tell you who's going to be looked at the most, Vivel, because he's the one that really insisted with this. When you really deep it, Wilcox and Amorim, they wanted Watkins. So it looks like they were moving more towards the established striker. But I think Vivel, because he knows obviously Sesko from his time at the at RB, that he was like pushing for, because he sees the talent in that. So he's actually like, I think his job is going to be on the line more than Sesko or Amorim. Because if you're going to push for such an expensive signing, it better work out.
And the club have been very, very insistent about telling us that the way the club works is they provide the manager can give his input, but they provide a list of players that meet the threshold. The manager that can then pick off that list. So I don't really blame the manager, because if you're telling me now, like, these three are all good enough to improve us, that's your job. And it shouldn't then matter which one the manager picks to a certain degree. They should all be improving us. And I'm the same. I mean, I did say about Vivel, if he didn't get this deal done, I was looking at him. You can't have the connections with RB and the connections with the player and the connections that you have and then lose out to Newcastle. But listen, we've done the hat trick. We've got 3 players off Newcastle this summer. It's made Staffy smile. So I have to just say thank you, Vivel.
Bro,
thank you,
been
Barada.
on a Hall of Famer run right now on Twitter, just cooking Jordies, getting blocked by them.
You're loving it. You got called out by Kendall. That's a rite of passage to be called out by Kendall. So it's good to see.
I heard KJ was blocked, so I got it back in blood for you, KJ. That's
you blocked KJ. She blocked you.
Yeah. We had a discussion about the stadium. And it didn't go well for it. Didn't end well for me. We were blocking.
I don't know what that was about, but let me guess. Taxpayer money.
100%.
If you know, you know. Staffy, thanks, bro. We're gonna take a few more calls for the end of the show. Top man. We'll see you on Friday, my G. Thank you. Rob Ladd is on with us now, aka Mr. Beast. What you saying, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you? I guess the question I was going to ask the three of you was. Now you're bringing in Sesko, as it looks. Are you guys not a little bit concerned that you might be following stuff that you've done before? So obviously you brought in Rasmus on quite a big fee, young, unproven. With Sesko, he's similar. He's young. He's unproven in the Premier League. It's a higher fee. Are you a bit concerned that you're bringing in a player that's going to be expected to deliver around a team and a club that are on rocky foundations at the moment currently, like the way last season went? Obviously you can improve, but I just wondered if you had any slight sort of niggling concerns, because I would be a little bit worried.
I think there's always going to be a bit of concern with where we're at right now, especially with how things have gone. So to say that there is no concern wouldn't be disingenuous, I think. So I think there are some concerns, but I feel the differences with Sesko and then with Højlund is that at least with Sesko, we've seen him enough to know that he's got the attributes, right? So with Rasmus, we bought him very early in his career. He had okay stints at Atalanta and Copenhagen and Stromgratz that he was at as well. So he did okay, but there was no real evidence to say like he can do X, Y, and Z. Sesko, 2 seasons in the Bundesliga, plus 10 goals each season. That's a good return. He's been in the Champions League. He's played internationally for his country multiple times. He's seen as their star guy, their star boy coming through. So I have a bit more faith with Sesko coming through than Højlund. And again, it's just down to the club to see how he goes. I think with Rasmus, he came in so early, he didn't have that support system around him. Like his attackers weren't experienced like Mbeumo, like Cunha. They weren't that kind of profile either. We had a lot of wingers who were inside forwards who want to score themselves. We really wanted actually a striker who's more like Martial, who can link up play, who's there to actually get the wingers in positions to score. So the situation we brought him in wasn't the greatest. We actually were supposed to buy Harry Kane with Højlund, or an experienced striker with Højlund, and Man United failed to do that, and therefore the price got pushed up to the 72 million that we ended up paying when we valued him about 40 to 50. So again, the reason why I think it's different is the people in charge, the way they've operated around this deal is a lot different. We value Sesko at around the 65 to 70 million mark. We didn't for Rasmus, but we paid anyway.
And I would say that the difference is this, like in the last 4 seasons, Sesko has scored 11, 18, 18, and 21 goals. He's also played 210 games in his career, plus 41 international games. So you're talking over 250 matches. When we bought Rasmus, I think he played about 87 games in his entire career. So yes, there are similarities in terms of young players, but there is a vast difference in age and output and the leagues that he's performed in. But there's always a risk here. There is a part of me that's fearful this could go wrong, mainly because we don't have a lot of money. So it's not as though we can do a Chelsea and fail and just go out next year or go out in January and drop another 70 odd million pounds on a striker. These 3 attackers we've purchased, all 3 of them have to work. That's the pressure that's on this deal. Rob, I'm running out of time, so thank you very much for jumping on. I appreciate it.
One thing. Are we all looking forward to the first game of the season,
Yes.
Sesko versus Gyökeres, and then Havertz and Højlund to be up front for the whole game?
Yeah, can you imagine? Neither are on the bench. That'll be a dampener.
That'd be great.
Listen, Rob, top man. We'll speak again soon, my friend.
See you
Thank
guys.
you. Cheers, mate. Thank you. And we'll take final. Sorry, not Joe. Sorry, Joe. Jesse, what you saying, bro? You've got about a minute because I've got a meeting after this. I'm already late for it, so you've got about a minute. I'm very sorry, bro.
You guys are welcome. I told you all that this guy wanted you all alone. I peeped this from a couple weeks back. You could have actually feel it, right? But what I would say is what you all were just discussing about him coming in and hitting the ground, running really quick. But I think you all should don't sell, keep Rasmus Højlund as well, and let those 2 battle it out. Let the competition go between both of them and see who comes good. Because Rasmus Højlund didn't really have that competition to push him to that extent. Sesko might just come in. It could go either good or bad for Man United, but I think you all should keep Rasmus Højlund, let both of them be competition for one another, and whoever comes good, comes good.
Jesse, listen, you were right. You absolutely called it spot on. I did believe you. I'm just someone that I like keeping my powder dry, and I try not to upset the football gods. I always try my best. You don't want to tempt fate. You know, I had a graphic ready to put out last night, and I was like, I still needed to wait for Ornstein's confirmation before I put it out there because I didn't want to tempt fate. We needed this player, and I'm happy. Jesse, we'll have you on again soon, my friend. Top man.
Yeah, guys.
Thank you, bro. I'm sorry I can't take any more calls. So I was only meant to do an hour. It's an hour and a half in. We're back later today, 3 p.m. for Straight Facts with Mo and Don Hassam. Plus, we're live after Arsenal's pre-season friendly this evening as well. If you could do me a massive favor and smash the like button, get yourself subscribing and turn on that bell notification button as well. The community has been absolutely crazy the last couple of days. I think 300, 400,000 people have tuned into our shows. Over 1,500 new subscribers in the past 24 hours alone. So I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for your dedication to this channel. It means a great deal to me. But if you could hit the like button before you leave, that would be great. This is going to redirect you to Judge Mo's channel. So go and support my brother over there. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Peace.